Hello and welcome to the PSian Files, life stories podcast inspired by the Philippine School Sultanate of Oman. This podcast series will tell you about life being a PSian or a student or alumnus of the Philippine School Sultanate of Oman. It is the only Filipino curriculum school in the country. And of course, it has a lot of stories hiding inside it within its hallowed halls. And of course, many secrets it beholds, and they should be exposed. That's why this podcast was created so that PSians can reconnect with one another and be home with PSSO once more. If you're new to this channel, please don't forget to click the subscribe button as well as the notification bell to get more updates on podcast episodes of this series. We would like to acknowledge the many parties who have helped make this podcast possible. Among them are my parents for support, the PSSO teachers who helped nurture and raise me, classmates and schoolmates whom I've shared memories with, alumni whom I've befriended, one of the school pillars who've helped shape this podcast by its name, Miss Carolina P. Layog, and the rest. And of course, to God be the glory. My name is James Christopher Hinoves Dimaiwat, and I'll be your host for this podcast. And now we begin. The Sultanate of Oman is home to many foreign schools that cater to expatriate communities. This is to help them connect with their native home countries and provide the education that they asked for. I, James Christopher Hinoves Dimaiwat, as an Oman-born full Filipino blood person, happened to study in one of them. This school that I am talking about was my home from kindergarten until the end of high school. Its name is Philippine School Sultanate of Oman, and it was home. But before we can tell you more about life there, which will be the focus of this podcast series, it is important that we know the history of the school. So if you want to visit, then you will know it better. It was in the year 1989, the last of the 1980s, when overseas Filipino workers based in the Sultanate of Oman made up plans for a community school which their fellows and offsprings can call home. Back then, they had been enrolling their children in foreign schools there. However, they began to feel the need for quality education from their native homeland, which was the Philippines. And adding to that was the fear of their offspring straying away from their native roots. In order to counter this, the OFWs in Oman made up the said plan for the community school in the Sultanate, which was done in cooperation with the Philippine government agencies, the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, or OWA for short, and the Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE. They received the support of the Philippine Honorary Consul General, His Excellency Esa bin Muhammad Al-Zijali. Back then, the majority number of Filipino communities were concentrated near the business district of Rui, and neighboring that was Al-Wataya, where some lived. Others lived in faraway districts like Alquer and where else. For the school building, a villa in Way 317 of an Al-Wataya suburb was leased, and it was here where the institution, then christened as Philippine Community School, was inaugurated on the 2nd of February 1990. 15 days later, the school formally opened its portals to 38 students under multi-level classes. These were handled by the volunteer teachers such as Vernie Kate and Fatima Al-Kitani. The school hired a Filipino principal to head the institution, Miss Elenita Fernandez, who arrived in June of the same year. At some point, the then PCS hired a trio of Filipino teachers, Miss Isabelita Imalong, Miss Carmelita Balagtas de Jesus, and Miss Fe Editalvin T. Vendiola, all who came from the Philippines in November before the end of the year. This trio became the pioneers of PSSO education and served as the school's first elementary teachers. It was then that the school offered pre-elementary level, which was nursery,
kindergarten and preparatory, and elementary level, which was grades 1 to 6. By 1991, the school produced its technically first batch of graduates in the form of the preparatory or final year preschool pupils, handled by the school principal. It was in September 1991 when the first preschool teacher, the late Mrs. Rosario G. Ballesteros, arrived. Later, on October 16, the school was recognized as a learning institution by the Sultanate of Oman's Ministry of Education, then named as the Ministry of Education and Youth. It was able to produce its first set of grade 6 graduates in school year 1990 to 1991. The school's next home was at a residential area at Duhat Al Adab Street in Alquer during the school year 1992 to 1993, its third year of operation. This year saw the opening of its secondary level or high school, with 6 first year high school enrollees. During that time, the old 1945 to 2015 or 2017 basic education curriculum was still used, and today's grade 7 was then called as first year high school. This curriculum, otherwise known as K to 4th year high school or K to 10, offered 2 or 3 years of preschool, kindergarten and preparatory, and 10 years of basic education, 6 years of elementary, and 4 years of high school. For such purpose, another set of teachers were hired to handle them and also became the school's pioneers for secondary education. Dr. Dionisio Villoria, the late Mrs. Erlinda M. Valientes, and the late Mr. Enrique B. Pontillas. This second pioneer trio, who became the institution's first high school teachers, arrived from the Philippines in the same year along with a new elementary level teacher in their company, Miss Annette Imperial. During these times, a short summer holiday or spring break occurred after the end of a school year, and class openings began in later April or May, with the summer break in July, the school days resuming in late August. This was possibly done to play along with the school scenario in the Middle East, which starts their academic years during September. Towards the end of 1992 to 1993, that year's graduating batch of sixth graders composed a graduation song under the tutelage of pioneer teacher Miss Fe Editaldin T. Vendiola. This graduation song, written with a guitar, was named as Hail P.S. Hail, and it would only be in the year 1994 when this song became the official alma mater hymn for the school. Changing times and conditions had deemed the Alquer neighborhood unsafe, thus necessitating the school's relocation to the suburbs of Rui for the year 1993 to 1994, where it stayed for 2 years at Al Farahidi Street. 4 additional teachers joined the teaching force to accommodate the growing population. The Alquer site became the home of the Philippine Embassy until its relocation to Shaticurum sometime later. Having maintained the prescribed standards of instruction and having complied with the rules and regulations set apart the Department of Education, then known as Department of Education, Culture and Sports, or DEX for short, and in consonance with the policies for international schools by the Ministry of Education in Oman, the then PCS gained its government recognition number 2 series of 1995 on 31st January 1995 under its new name, Philippine School. Other official names given were Philippine School Sultanate of Oman or PSSO as we know it, and the nickname Philippine School Muscat. Such recognition grants PSSO all courses of basic education from preschool until secondary. Since then, the school has been operating in accordance with the laws of the Republic of the Philippines, particularly along organization, administration, and supervision for private educational institutions. Likewise, with Ministerial Decree Number 4 Series of 2006 of the Sultanate of Oman. At the end of the school year 1994 to 1995, 19 elementary pupils and the first batch of 6 high school students had graduated. As the 90s decade was reaching its middle point, there was a growing number of students residing in districts far away from the school's first and third sites. These were not just limited to Al Qud, Al Hail, Sib, Barca, Mawale, and the like. By early 1995, this problem prompted the school's Parents Teachers Association, called PSPTA, to lobby the government for a site located at the center or middle of both the city and the Muscat Governorate. The officials granted this request, and by academic year 1995 to 1996, the school found a new home in a bigger and better building situated in the Al Inshira street of the upscale suburb or district of Madinat Sultan Qaboos. With that, a new batch of teachers were hired. On April 21, 1996, the Pledge of Loyalty, written by Miss Fe Edithaldine T. Vendiola, was recited for the first time. Four new additional teachers would join the teaching force in the school year 1996 to 1997 in response to the need of the school with the continuous increase in student population. To ensure greater, convenient, and better accessibility for the student population hailing from all districts of the capital, the school returned to the district of Alquer sometime in 1997 and decided to then permanently settle there before the start of school year 1999 to 2000, with a big two-story villa known as Building 2400 located in Block 247 of Way 4727 in Almanhel Street at Alquer 33, becoming its home base. However, having one school building was not going to last long. By that year, there was a continuous boom in student enrollment, which necessitated an annex campus. By this time, the school boasted 23 able and dedicated teachers and personnel. Following the entry of the new millennium in the year 2000, or Y2K for short, the school executed its idea of an annex campus by leasing a villa in another Alquer suburb, Way 4144 of Alcolea Street, where it relocated to departments. The preschool and the first 2 years of primary level elementary into this site. Only the third grade until the last year of high school remained in Almanhel. The villa in Alcolea served as the institution's annex campus for 3 school years, from the early January part of third quarter or fourth quarter of 1999 to 2000, school year 2000 to 2001, and the early days of school year 2001 to 2002. Now, because the main and annex compounds were at neighborhoods far from each other and required a short drive despite being the same district, the school looked for areas where they can be of extremely short walking distances. By the early days of school year 2001 to 2002, blessing came when PSSO was able to find a new site at Alquer 33, Way 2356 of Al Janubaya Street. During the second or third week of that year, it relocated its annex campus and offices to a larger and more presentable three-story villa in the area, with the main campus moving from its 1997 to 2001 site to a neighboring villa 2 doors away from the annex compound sometime later. With the school occupying two separate villas in the same site, PSSO found more room to breathe. For the next 6 years, Alquer 33 became the home of Philippine School until its departure by the end of school year 2006 to 2007. Come school year 2004 to 2005 were the medium of instruction for all history subjects, civics and culture for elementary, and social studies for secondary were permanently shifted from being taught in Filipino to English to cope up with the number of foreign students enrolling and to also help enforce a better speak English policy. In April 2005, the 2004 to 2006 Board of Directors initiated the acquisition of a new PS site at Alquer Heights, situated between two neighboring schools, the American British Academy and the Egyptian School. Following a groundbreaking ceremony that took place the following year, the construction of the new building started immediately. The transfer of the new school to its current site was facilitated by the Board of Directors 2006 to 2008, and the new school building was inaugurated on the 16th of June 2007 by retired Philippine National Police General His Excellency Ahmadi Omar Sr., that time serving as the 2004 to 2010 Philippine Ambassador to Oman. For nearly 10 years, this remained the sole building of the school. There was a performance stage, but the basketball court was not shaded, which proved somewhat difficult for others. The school year 2007 to 2008 also marked the first time classes began in the month of June, ending the chapter of the institution's history when school began in April or May, with the post first quarter summer break taking place in July and classes resuming in August from second quarter onwards. Because of the destructive wrath of Cyclone Gonu, which hit the Sultanate on the 6th of June the same year, leaving a trail of destruction necessitating repairs. The class opening on June 13, 2007 was delayed to 10 days later. Back during the school's occupation of villas, no Arabic subjects were offered, and it was thought to be unwise for the foreign students to do nothing. So in 2007, the school began offering Arabic subjects and classes. Taking place simultaneously with Filipino language classes, these were handled by the first Arabic teacher, Jordanian national Lilian Juma, who is later succeeded by Sudanese American Medina Khalifa. Following Khalifa's departure in the year 2012, new Arabic teachers joined in during the subsequent years. For all information, Arabic is still offered by PSSO and is only taken by non-Filipino foreign students. A half Filipino, half foreign student may choose to either attend Filipino or Arabic. However, full-blood Filipino students, including those born and registered as citizens of nations upholding birthright citizenship laws and doctrines, commonly known as Jus Soli, are still required to take Filipino courses. More improvements were made during the late 2000s and the start of 2010, such as a covered court during the third quarter of school year 2008 to 2009 and a series of bleachers constructed during the third to fourth quarter of school year 2009 to 2010. The new bleachers were first utilized for the school's 20th anniversary held on February 22 to 26, 2010. It was in the school year 2009 to 2010 when the school introduced its Islamic prayer during flag ceremonies. First recited on opening day of the year, June 13, 2009, follows after the main school prayer. Since then, all school events and activities have an Islamic prayer following the primary prayers. This year also proved difficult because of the outbreak of the H1N1 virus. Two students of the school, a senior year Sudanese and elementary student, were confirmed positive, and the school closed for a week in September from dates 4 to 11. Prior to the end of the same school year, one of the pioneers of the school, the first preschool teacher, Mrs. Rosario G. Ballesteros, retired from service to focus on her health with her farewell party attended by the school's population in the main lobby on March 3, 2010. Returning to the Philippines days later, she passed away on August 2010, causing much grief to the school. After two break-in robbery incidents during mid-September of the school year 2009 to 2010, the school began implementing safer security by adding CCTV cameras in its premises and testing security guard services with the help of the Royal Oman Police during school year 2010 to 2011. In the same school year, PSSO helped commemorate Oman's 40th National Day by performing for the then monarch of Oman, the late His Majesty Sultan Qaboos bin Said, and the United Kingdom and Commonwealth's then ruling monarch, the late Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Come school year 2011 to 2012, there was a change in order with the rebirth of the PSPTA along with the student government body named as Student Council of the Philippine School or SCOPS for short, welcoming its first non-Filipino president, Alsa Mohammed Al-Hinay. For all information, the majority of the SCOPS presidents were full-blooded Filipinos, with Al-Hinay being the first and only non-Filipino president in its history. He would graduate by the end of that year. In addition, for this year, the school also introduced the use of a sash for graduating students. If you don't know, one of the well-known institutions in the Philippines, the University of the Philippines, also uses the sash, called a sabla in Tagalog, which replaced the traditional regalia known as mortarboard and toga. Going back to PSSO, the PS graduation sash worn on top of the regalia was first utilized on the 22nd graduation ceremony, which ended the 2011 to 2012 school year on a high note through a lavish event at Bar Al Jisa Resort. Since then, all graduates of the school now wear a graduation sash during the commencement exercises or graduation ceremonies at the end of every school year. Not known to all, that year's graduating sixth graders would be the test subjects of a new program. Barely sometime after the end of 2011 to 2012, the Philippine government made some changes, implementing the new basic education curriculum otherwise known as K to 12. The new curriculum was tested during the school year 2012 to 2013 and was only officially applied during the succeeding school year, replacing first to fourth year with grades 7 to 10, and adds 2 more years of high school, known as senior high, which runs from grades 11 to 12. Test subjects for this program were the sixth grade graduates of the previous school year. There was also a new performance stage constructed at this point. However, to help the secondary students of the K to fourth year high school graduate on time and ensure no resources are wasted, the old curriculum was allowed to coexist along with the K to 12 program, with each batch graduating in the succeeding years. The last batch of K to fourth year students graduated secondary level during the end of school year 2014 to 2015, at which point the old high school curriculum was phased out. The academic year of 2015 to 2016 would make history as the new curriculum would undergo a phased implementation, and the grade 10 students of that year would also undergo trainings and orientations for preparation of their entry to senior high school. At the end of the school year, a revamped graduation ceremony with only the grade 6 wearing togas and the grade 10 donning the usual high school uniform was held at the Oman Auditorium of Al Bustan Palace Hotel. Not to mention that the grade 10 were still allowed to wear the old high school regalia for graduation photos only. But before we forget, this event also introduced a redesigned graduation sash to signify change. And now we come to a new change, school year 2016 to 2017. This is the time when PSSO welcomed its first batch of 15 senior high school students, and it also offered the General Academic Strand or GAS for short as its first track. Also included in the GAS track were some electives for another senior high track, the Science, Engineering, Technology, and Mathematics, or STEM for short. There were new executive style uniforms introduced for senior high school. The girls now wear executive blouses and trousers alongside scarf like cravats, which replaced the Sailor Moon colored blouses, skirts, and neckties, with black foot socks along with high heeled shoes. Boys, on the other hand, now wear long sleeve button up shirts with neckties instead of those short sleeve button up shirts used from preschool to junior high school. This is the first time black socks for boys were also introduced. They also still had the option to wear white ones too. In addition, the school logo was also given a new facelift and redesign. Now, due to the expanding number of students and the need for additional classrooms to keep in line with the K 12 program, the school was in need for an annex building again. A new building was constructed across the road fronting the original building's side entrance from 2014 until 2016, and it only opened in the year 2017 during the month of April. This new extension now houses the senior high school department as well as both the yearbook and newsletter magazine clubs, the latter being named the Pace Setter. By the conclusion of 2016 to 2017, the elementary graduates received the last ever certificate for the old elementary curriculum, and now the K to fourth year curriculum was entirely phased out on June 5, 2017. Philippine School Oman fully transitioned to the K to 12 curriculum during school year 2017 to 2018, and that's the time K to 12 was fully applied. It was at the end of this same school year when the institution produced its first batch of senior high school graduates. For a bigger and significant change, the school debuted a new navy blue mortar board and toga with golden yellow and blue tassels, which is now used by all senior high school graduates. Since school year 2017 to 2018, only the grade 6 and senior high school wear the toga, while the junior high school wear their school uniforms but still don the old high school toga consisting of blue tassels and tie straps for graduation pictorial purposes. Philippine School Oman became a member of the organization Philippine Schools Overseas, which was later renamed to Association of Philippine Schools Overseas. This is an association of duly registered institutions operating outside the Philippines. All these schools implement the basic education curriculum of the Philippine Department of Education to address the needs of children of Filipinos residing overseas and to facilitate their integration to the Philippine education system. It was in the year 2019 when a perpetual recognition was granted by the government to the school. And now here comes a new decade, the year 2020. There was supposed to be a grand celebration that was planned by the school for its 3 decades of existence. These were first postponed due to the death of the then longest serving ruler of Oman, His Majesty Sultan Qaboos bin Said, who ruled Oman from 1970 until his death of cancer in 2020. 40 days of mourning was imposed around Oman, and there should be no celebrations or revelry. Though rescheduled to an unknown date, these grand celebrations were cancelled thanks to the worldwide COVID-19 pandemic. Philippine School Oman shifted all events, including its graduation, to virtual, with online classes held during the 2020 to 2021 school year. It would only be on December 9, 2021, when the school resumed its face to face classes, with the first ever face to face graduation in 2 years taking place during the 2021 to 2022 school year. Since the year 2022, PSSO has been offering all strands of senior high school, such as the General Academic Strand or GAS, Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics or STEM, Accountancy, Business and Management or ABM, Humanities and Social Sciences or HUMS, Maritime and Tech Voc, and what else? It's good for PSSO to do that. The last day of May of 2024 was also the closure of the school year 2023 to 2024. This is the time the school wrote a new chapter in its book when it produced its first set of full-fledged K-12 graduates. They shared a common ground with the first senior high school graduates beginning preschool through the old curriculum, but these full-fledged K-12 graduates began elementary school under the new curriculum, finishing it in 2018 and junior high school in 2022. With their completion of basic education in 2024, history was made for the school as they became the institution's newest graduates fully educated under the enhanced Philippine Basic Education Curriculum or K-12. Oh, and lest we forget, there was another milestone celebrated by the school in the year 2024. Besides producing its first full K-12 graduates, PSSO was awarded its own land in the Alma Bila district by the Housing and Urban Planning Ministry, measuring 11,000 square meters. This is where it would build its new campus. This new campus would have adequate facilities such as more classrooms and even spacious laboratories, libraries, offices, stationery store, more restrooms, and a larger canteen, among others. For years, the school kept renting villas and buildings for use, and those places did not have enough facilities. Thus, rooms and some labs were converted to classrooms thanks to an ever booming student population. While it would have a better playground for the kids despite the current site having one being added in 2012, the highlight for this new campus is a spacious auditorium that also doubles as an indoor gym and arena. This facility would now host large scale school events such as Foundation Day, closing rites or graduations, moving ups, honor assemblies, and proms, with the option to rent hotel, resort, ballrooms, and auditoriums, as well as indoor arenas for such events as a secondary or last resort only.
From its modest beginnings, Philippine School Oman evolved from a simple academic institution into a highly structured organization, having more than 900 plus students, 47 highly qualified and committed teaching staff, supported by 23 hardworking non-teaching personnel. Today, the school continues to play vital roles in the socio-economic and cultural landscape of the Sultanate through socio-economic, cultural, and educational sectors. It continues to foster quality education, adopting educational trends and developments, and implementing the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013 or RA 10533 through the K-12 curriculum, which offers kindergarten and 12 years of basic education, 6 years of elementary, 4 years of junior high school, and 2 years of senior high school.
Now we have covered the history of Philippine School Sultanate of Oman. I bet you're now ready to learn more about life there. I just hope that this series would also refresh your memories of the school and make you laugh and cry or even smile even more. So, are you ready for a journey about life there? Are you ready to refresh your memories of the school? Well, you're at the right place. Come on, buckle up. You got a long way to go.